in the shadow of one of the world's most spectacular natural wonders. Niagara Falls lies a place untouched by the millions of tourists who flock there each year. It's a place of quiet dread, a crumbling passage of stone and time, known to locals as the Screaming Tunnel. Most people come to Niagara for the breathtaking views, the romance, the sheer power of the water. But for those who know where to look, a much darker attraction awaits, one that promises not wonder, but sheer, undiluted terror. The tunnel itself is unassuming, just a simple limestone passage built in the early 1900s, designed to allow drainage under what was once the Grand Trunk Railway line. It's dark, damp, and graffiti-covered, a place you might hurry through during the day without a second thought. But when night falls, this ordinary tunnel transforms. It becomes a gateway, a place where the veil between our world and the next is terrifyingly thin. It's then that the tunnel lives up to its name. The story, or rather the collection of stories that haunt this place, all center on the tragic fate of a young girl. While the details shift with each telling, passed down through generations like a whispered secret, the core of the legend remains chillingly consistent. One version tells of a small farmhouse that once stood near the southern entrance of the tunnel. One fateful night, a fire erupted, engulfing the home in a violent blaze. A young girl, trapped inside, managed to escape the inferno, her clothes alight, her body a living torch. In a desperate, agonizing search for help, she ran. She ran into the absolute darkness of the nearby tunnel, hoping to find water, to find salvation. But all she found was more darkness. Her screams, they say, echoed off the cold stone walls until her last breath. She collapsed and perished right in the middle of that desolate passage. Another, perhaps even more brutal version of the tale, speaks of a different kind of horror. It claims the girl was fleeing not from a fire, but from a monstrous act of violence. After being assaulted by her own enraged father, or perhaps a group of vile men, she ran into the tunnel to escape them. But they caught up to her, and in the heart of that cold, damp darkness, they ended her life and set her body ablaze to hide their terrible crime. Her final desperate screams were swallowed by the tunnel, becoming a permanent part of its very structure. Regardless of which version you believe, the outcome is the same. The girl's spirit, filled with rage and agony, never left. It said her tormented soul is now bound to the spot where she died, forever trapped within the cold, oppressive confines of the Screaming Tunnel. And she is not a peaceful spirit. This is where the legend takes a turn from a sad story into an active, terrifying experience. The local dare, the ritual that has drawn thrill seekers and paranormal investigators for decades, is deceptively simple. You must enter the tunnel alone after midnight. You walk to the exact center, to the deepest point of darkness where no light from either end can reach you. Then, you take out a single wooden match. As you strike it, the small flame flickers to life, pushing back the oppressive blackness for just a moment. And in that moment, the legend says, two things will happen. First, the flame will be mysteriously violently extinguished. Not by a draft, not by the damp air, but by an unseen force. And second, as the darkness crashes back in around you, you will hear it. A scream. Not just any scream, but the blood-curdling, soul-shattering shriek of the girl who died there. A cry of pure, undiluted agony that pierces the silence and freezes you where you stand. They say her scream is so powerful, so filled with pain, that it can drive a person mad. The local belief is that she is enraged by the sight of the open flame, a horrific reminder of her fiery death. Of course, stories are just stories, right? A campfire tale to spook teenagers. But the sheer volume of accounts from those who have taken the challenge suggests something more is at play. Countless visitors have reported the same thing. They light the match, it goes out, and the scream follows. Some have felt an icy cold breath on the back of their neck in the pitch dark. Others have felt unseen hands shove them against the wall. People have run from the tunnel in a panic, claiming to have seen a fleeting, fiery apparition or the glowing eyes of something inhuman watching them from the deepest shadows. Even those who don't dare to light the match report unsettling experiences. The feeling of being watched is almost universal. Many people hear faint whispers just on the edge of hearing, the sound of a young girl crying softly. Electronic devices are known to malfunction. Cameras will fail, batteries that were fully charged will suddenly drain completely, and audio recorders will pick up strange, unexplainable voices and sounds that weren't audible to the human ear at the time. These electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, often capture a single chilling word: fire or help me. Paranormal investigation teams from all over North America have been drawn to the Screaming Tunnel, armed with high-tech equipment to try and capture definitive proof of the haunting. The results have been consistently unnerving. Thermal cameras have detected cold spots that move against the flow of air. Full-spectrum cameras have captured strange mists and orbs of light that appear and disappear in an instant. Sensitive parabolic microphones have recorded the distinct sound of footsteps running through the tunnel when no one is there. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence came from a team who set up a simple experiment. They placed a digital voice recorder on a tripod in the center of the tunnel and left it recording for an hour while the entire team waited outside, far from either entrance. When they retrieved the recorder and played back the audio, they were stunned. Amidst the ambient sounds of dripping water and distant traffic, a clear, high-pitched voice could be heard whispering, "I'm so cold." Then, a few minutes later, a heartbreaking sob, followed by a loud, angry scream that overloaded the microphone, creating a blast of static. The team was shaken. There was no one in or near that tunnel. For the locals in the Niagara region, the Screaming Tunnel is not a tourist attraction. It's a place to be actively avoided, especially after dark. Parents warn their children away from it, and many residents who have lived there their whole lives have never once set foot inside. They know the stories aren't just stories. They've heard the screams carried on the night wind or seen the strange, flickering lights emanating from its dark maw. They respect the history and the tragedy, and they believe some places are better left undisturbed. But the lure of the forbidden is strong. Every year, new groups of tourists and amateur ghost hunters arrive, drawn by the legend, ready to test their courage. They walk the path leading to the tunnel's entrance, the air growing colder, the sounds of the modern world fading away, replaced by an eerie silence. They step across the threshold, from the world of the living into a place defined by death. Imagine standing there yourself. The darkness is absolute, a physical weight pressing in on you. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. Every drip of water echoes like a footstep behind you. Your heart pounds in your chest, your senses on high alert. You fumble for the match, your hands trembling. You strike it. The flare of light is blinding for a second, illuminating the graffiti-scarred, weeping walls. Then, just as the legend predicts, it's gone, snuffed out, and you're plunged back into total, suffocating blackness. You hold your breath, straining to listen. Is that just the wind? Or is it the beginning of a scream that has been echoing in this place for over a century? The enduring mystery of the Screaming Tunnel is what makes it so terrifying. It's not just a ghost story. It's an unresolved tragedy. A young life cut short in the most horrific way, her pain and anger forever imprinted on the location of her death. Whether her name was known, what her dreams were, who she was before that terrible night, all of that has been lost to time, replaced by the single defining act of her demise. She is no longer a person. She is the scream in the darkness. She is the vengeful spirit who extinguishes the flame. So if you ever find yourself near Niagara Falls and you feel a pull towards something other than the cascading water, you know where to go. But be warned, the Screaming Tunnel keeps its secrets well, and it does not welcome visitors. The girl in the tunnel is still there, still waiting in the dark, and she is always, always screaming. Thanks for watching. If you've ever been to the Screaming Tunnel or have your own local legend you'd like to share, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more journeys into the world as most haunted places. Stay safe out there.